Hey guys. Hello. Hi everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope this is working. I think it's working. I'm just going to check on my phone because I'm paranoid because sometimes I have technology issues lately. Is anybody else having like a bad tech week? I feel like nothing is working for me tech wise. So let me just make sure I'm actually live and the sound is actually working. And then we'll get into it. I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk to you guys about. How's everybody doing? Okay. Okay. I see myself. I hear myself. We're doing it. Hey, everybody. All right, let's do this. I want to share a couple things about sales. I was trying to explain last night, but a bunch of my slides were out of order and missing. That's why I had like a confused face on in the middle. I got pretty much everything I wanted to share with you guys in the presentation, but there was one important thing I wanted to make sure I give you. And then I'm going to go through these questions too. There was some good questions in this thread and in the chat, and I'm just going to hang out and chat if you guys need anything. Let me pull this up. Let's do this. Let me put this down here, get all sorted here. Okay, I'm going to use this little whiteboard guy. I'm not super proficient at this. I just used it for the first time the other day, but it's okay. We'll learn together. So I wanted to share with you guys this little sales equation. I was trying to explain it as I was talking, but I don't think it's not as good if you can't see it. I don't think. I need like the visual. I don't know about you guys. So let me put this up. Sales equation. Let's make him a little bigger. Can you go over here, guy? I guess that's maybe as big as I can make it. And then can I put another text box? I think I can. Here we go. Can I put you on the Post-it note? Look at us. Look at us. We're all doing it together here. So here's the sales equation I wanted to share with you guys. This is really important because if you don't understand this, your brain is going to tell a bunch of stories about it, right? So if you don't have data and you don't understand certain things about business, our brains are going to fill that in with thoughts and stories. And a lot of times they will be unhelpful stories to you building a business because, like we said in the first night, your brain is programmed to conserve energy, to keep you safe, to keep you comfortable. Like that's programmed in there, hardwired for survival. So if we don't have data and we don't have information, it's going to fill that in with stories and thoughts that help you stay alive, conserve energy, and stay comfortable. So that's not always the most useful for entrepreneurship. So here's the equation. It's number of offers minus number of no's. Can I make you? I want to do it all in one line. There we go. Equals number of yeses. Well, why this is important? How do I make you bigger? We can do this. There we go. There we go. We'll just see if we can get him bigger for you guys. So number of offers minus number of no's equals number of yeses. Okay. So let's say, I have a $50 product, let's say. And I want to make $500. So we need to make 10 sales, right? You guys know I can't do math in my head. Let me know if that's wrong, but I think that's right. My brain does not do math. Is anybody else's brain like that? My brain, it like does not math. So we need to do 10 sales to hit our goal, okay? So if we put that into this equation, that we have, let me scroll you down here. If we put this into this little equation format, right, we need to make 10 sales. So our goal is 10. So the number of offers, let's say the number of offers that we make is 100. We're going to get, in this example, we're going to get 90 no's. And this is going to equal 10 sales. Okay. Number of offers, meaning the number of times you ask somebody to buy something. So an offer is like, would you like to buy this thing? Yes or no? Would you like to buy this thing? A lot of people are doing soft offers, which are just like sharing links casually, right? Not making a direct offer. A direct offer is really like, do you want to buy this thing? Yes or no? So if we ask 100 people, would you want to pay for this? Would you want to buy this? 90 say no. And then we end up with our 10 yeses. And the example and why I think this is important and what I was saying on the call is if I want to make this number go up, if I want to double this, I want to make this 20 sales, what has to happen to this equation? If I don't change anything else in my process, I leave everything the same. The offer is the same, the sales system is the same, the marketing is the same. To double this sales, I have to double these numbers. So I need to make 200 offers and I need to get 180 no's. If you don't understand this, I think people have a lot of drama about this part, right? Because they're like, most people are telling me no. If you don't understand this, you're going to make that a big problem. And what I want to offer to you guys, what I want you guys to understand is that even if you're great at sales, you're never going to have a 100% close rate. You know, a really, really great sales rate would be like 60, maybe you sell 30% of people say yes. That would be a great sales ratio, right? So 70% of people are still going to be here. So the majority of your numbers are going to be here in this no pile, right? And if we want this yes pile to go up, we have to increase these, the amount of people that you're asking to buy your thing and the amount of people you get to tell you no. And so what I want you guys to think about, if you're thinking about sales, people focus too much on this. They're like, I want more yeses. I want more yeses. I want more yeses. I want more yeses. And they hate this number. And what I want you guys to understand is like, if you're getting a lot of numbers here, this is going to go up. So when you're thinking about how do I do sales? How do I make more money in the business? I want you literally thinking, how can I get the number of no's to go up? Do you see how that's a big reframe between, because if I don't understand this and I'm thinking having a lot of no's, if I'm thinking 180 people telling me no, right, is a big problem, that's just means my conversion rate, right? So I can change my conversion rate to get more people to buy, but this is not a problem like that most people are telling you no. Even when you're great at sales, for most of you, probably for your entire sales career, most people are going to tell you no. That's the reality, right? It depends on your market, it depends on your sales skills, all these different things. But for most of us, especially if you have no sales experience and you've never done this stuff before, this number is going to be high. Okay. But that doesn't mean that you suck and you can't have a business. It doesn't mean you can't make the money you want. It means we need to increase this number here, right? Getting in front of more people. And I see people like really get messed up over this because they won't be making, they won't have this number that they want. They're like, I'm not getting the number of yeses I want. Let me change my offer. Let me change my niche. Let me change my launch strategy. Let me change whatever. A lot of times, especially when you guys are just starting, this number is too low. You're not making enough offers. Not enough people are seeing the offer, right? And that means instead of a strategy problem, instead of a marketing problem, a lot of you have a lead gen problem. But if you don't understand that and you don't understand like, oh, I haven't gotten enough people, I haven't asked enough people and gotten enough no's yet, you're going to waste a lot of time changing your sales page, changing your offer, changing your price, changing your marketing, right? And maybe that will bump your conversion rate a little bit, but it's usually not going to make a dramatic enough difference to really change this number. The easiest way for you guys to change this number is to change this number, these numbers back here, to make more offers and get more people to tell you no. If you want this number to go up, this number has to go up too. You guys understand? Everybody with me? So I want you guys to remember this. Number of offers minus number of no's equals number of yeses. If I want more yeses, what do I have to do? I have to make more offers and I have to get more no's, right? If I want to double this, I have to sell, to twice as many people, get twice as many no's, and then I make twice as many sales. Okay. And what I don't want to happen is for you guys to tell a painful story if you're not making the money you want, if you don't have the number of yeses yet, that you suck and you can't do it. No one's going to buy your thing. And my niche is so difficult. Nobody's buying right now. I mean, your brain will make up all kinds of stories, right? It's going to make all kinds of stories about why this number isn't high enough. If you're not getting enough, I'm not getting enough yeses. Let me make up all these stories about it, right? But the reality is, how many offers did you guys make and how many no's did you get? A lot of times when you look at this, it's going to be very, very low. Like, you guys need more here, right? Which is the lead gen problem. So if you look at the training from last night, I showed you guys the ways that are working to get more leads, right? So Facebook ads, if you're good at sales, if you're just starting, I recommend doing organic, which I'm seeing. I'm not super recommending people to start on TikTok until we know what's happening, but there is reach there. Instagram Reels, Instagram carousel posts specifically, that they will show your post to new people, right? If we want to increase the number of offers and the number of no's, we need to get in front of more people. So we want to be spending time on platforms that are going to show our stuff and our work to people that have never heard of us, right? So Facebook group, not going to do that. Not going to show our stuff to people that have never heard of us. It's going to show our stuff to people that already know us. Podcast, probably not going to show your stuff to people that don't know you. Probably just going to go out to the people that have already subscribed, the people that already know you. YouTube can work. Google can work. LinkedIn can work. I'm seeing some clients getting really great results on Threads, especially if you're good at community building. If you love having conversations with people, go hang out on Threads. It is an interesting platform. It's similar to Twitter, but it's like more conversation based, which I think is kind of interesting. Instagram is kind of like, Threads is kind of Instagram's response to Twitter, right? Or X or whatever it's called now. So those are kind of the main ways. Pinterest, right? I'm still seeing people getting results on Pinterest. I went over all of them in the workshop last night, but you've got to think about, when your brain is going to make up all these stories about, I don't have enough people buying my thing. I don't have enough people telling me yes. I don't have enough people buying. Your brain is going to make up all these stories, and you need to be really onto yourself about, do I have enough numbers here? Right? If you're making offers to hundreds of people or thousands of people and we're not getting the yeses, then it's like, let's look at our marketing, let's look at our offer, let's look at our pricing, then we can adjust things in the business. But if you don't have this number yet, adjusting things is not going to help you because we don't have enough data, right? So if I change my sales page, but I didn't have very many numbers here in this front part of the equation, okay, I changed my price, I changed my sales page, I changed my niche, I changed my offer, right? But I didn't have many people here, and then I still don't have more people here because I didn't fix my lead gen problem. I'm not going to know if what I changed is better or worse because I never put it in front of enough people to gather enough data anyway, right? So I suggest you guys really focus on putting together something to sell and practice getting it in front of a lot of people. And then once you have the audience and we have a bunch of people that we can make offers to, and maybe you grow your following this year, you grow your email list, please grow an email list this year. If you do nothing else from this training, please grow an email list this year. Please. I'm like, please. Like begging you. An email list is a huge, huge valuable asset for an online business. It's literally a valuable asset in that you can sell it. When I sold my first mental health blog, I sold that blog, I think, for like $27,000. And one of the reasons I was able to sell that and get that money for it was because I had an email list of 40,000 people. And that email list I had built was literally a valuable asset for my business, right? So I look at it like a real estate asset, like a investing asset. Your email list is like something you want to invest time and money into. And we want that investment to grow over time. And then you can either make money selling things to people on it. You can also sell it and sell your whole business and make money that way. There's people that literally just do that flip online businesses. And the email list is an asset. So you need to start thinking of, my email list is an asset to my business, right? Just like a rental property or an investment account, right? It's like we want to invest time and money here because we see a potential for that to grow where we can make enough money that it's going to be very, very worth our while. It's worth our time. It's worth our money. And we're able to make more money than we put into it. And we're able to be very well compensated for our time. An email list has the potential to do that. Okay. But don't start messing with all your stuff and go into a bunch of drama about how your business doesn't work and nobody likes your stuff and nobody's buying and yada, yada, yada. If you haven't fixed this problem, number of offers and number of no's. Like, have we even put the offer in front of a lot of people? I really probably wouldn't even look at this until I've had like 500 people. Like, and even that's not that many to start messing with things. So, and there's no hard and fast rule here. Okay. And it's different for all of you because you all have different experience levels. You all have different things you're bringing to the table. Right. But just in general, I want you guys to understand when I'm talking about things, I'm talking about things from a reference of having been in this space a while, having spent a lot of time in different communities, studying marketing, looking at what different people are doing, learning what's working, and spending a lot of time coaching in my own community, like literally hundreds and hundreds of people. And so I'm giving you kind of like an overall view of what I see, but that does not mean that everything I say applies to every person. And what I always tell the mastermind is like, I never want you guys to take something and use it against yourself. So if you take something I say on a live stream and you use it to make yourself feel like shit, and you use it to mean I can't be successful because Faith said this, or my niche isn't going to work because Faith said that. If you take something I say and you use it against yourself, that's not how I meant it. That's not useful to you, right? What is that going to do? It's not going to do anything useful. So just skip over it, right? If something feels like, oh, like my brain's going to make a painful story about that and mean I can't be successful and mean I can't have a business and mean I can't do it, that's not what I meant. Just skip over it, delete it, take the parts that are useful to you, they're going to help you hit your goals, and leave it, right? The reality is there's hundreds of you guys in here. Not everything I say is true for every person. Okay. I'm giving you guys like a general framework that I think will be useful and helpful. And I'm trying to share concepts that I think will help most of you move forward. Does that make sense? Let me see. Oh, hey, Calvin. Oh, hey, Lucy. Hey. Yeah, I've heard email conversion rate is 1.5% to 3% on average. Yeah, totally. This number can go up, Calvin. So it depends. Like, it's the answer to everything in business is like, it depends. And I understand that's annoying. Okay. Just so you guys know, like, I get it. Like, my coach and my mastermind say the same thing to me too. They're like, it depends. It depends. Right. It depends. I think it can convert higher if you're on video. I think it can convert higher if you're spending more time interacting with those people, if they have talked to you on camera, if they've seen you on camera, if they've listened to you on the podcast. I think those numbers can go up. One of the things I've been pushing a lot inside the mastermind is for them to take Loom videos and put them in their email, because I think when people see you on camera, we can get that 1.5 to 3% average to go up, right? And it really depends on the size of your audience too. As your audience gets bigger, that number does tend to go down. If you only have 500 people, I've seen people have 10% click-through rates in their small audiences because they're able to really speak to like very specific people. They're able to really get to know people. I used to answer every single question people would have on my email list on video. So they would post things in the Facebook group or email me questions or whatever. And I would literally for years for free answer everybody's questions that they had on video. Right. And I can't do that now because there's 16,000 people on our email list. But when you're starting, you can, right? You can voice memo people. You can send video responses to people. You can answer people's questions. You can come up with really great personal solutions. And that can make that conversion rate go higher when you have a smaller audience. When you start to scale, typically we see those conversion rates go down just because it's a lot more people on the list and people aren't opening their email and people aren't paying attention and like all the different things. Let's see. I'm going to go through some of these questions. Calvin said, I see this trend of doing a 5-day challenge leading up to a product launch. Would you recommend this for new entrepreneurs? I think you should do whatever is going to get you to do sales more often. So I think the people that are going to do very well and really use this year the best, if you want to make money online, the best thing you can do is get a lot of practice selling. So if doing a 5-day challenge is going to mean we're going to think about it and spin around and put it off and have a bunch of drama and like it's going to be 3 months from now for you to do that challenge, then I wouldn't do that. I would just do one workshop, one webinar with a pitch at the end, right? And then maybe work your way up to a 5-day challenge. If you're someone who's proficient, who's like, I've been around the internet, I could do a 5-day challenge. I'm excited about it. I can get it done. Then I think it's great. But I think the biggest thing that you need to understand is like sales is like playing the violin. So the first time you pick up the violin, are you going to be good at it? No, you're going to suck at it, right? And so if you do sales and nobody buys, I always tell the mastermind that just means you need more practice. Like you haven't practiced enough. And so for a lot of you, I would commit this year to practicing sales as many times as you can in the calendar year, right? So if doing a 5-day challenge is going to be great experience for you and give you great practice doing sales and you're excited about it and we can get it done, then I think it's awesome. I think the best way to figure out what's going to work for you is to test it, right? So, oh man, my thing just glitched. Am I still live? What is happening? Okay, I think I'm still good. You guys let me know if something weird is happening. Um, does that make sense, Calvin? And so you won't know what's going to be your best sales system until you start doing sales. So it's the way I think about it is it's like swimming, right? If you heard me say that example, we can sit here and talk about the best way to swim. I can tell you the best way to swim. I can tell you you're going to get in the water and you're going to pick your hand up and you're going to hold your breath and we can talk about it all day long. But are you actually getting better at swimming? Like, how do you get better at swimming? You get better at swimming by doing it. How do you know if a 5-day sales process works for you? And how do you figure out what sales process works best for you and what you like doing and what's going to work for your audience? By swimming, right? By doing sales, by trying it. I think you should try lots of different things, right? I think all of it's experience. Some of it's going to work, some of it's not going to work. If you've never done sales and marketing before, it's probably not going to work right away because you've never picked up the violin, right? And so people have this expectation that they should be able to do sales and marketing right away, and that's just not the case. It's just like you wouldn't expect to pick up a guitar and be able to just play a song right away. You understand you have to spend time being not good and learning the chords and like spending time like sitting there doing this boring shit to learn the basics to be able to do what you want to do. It's the same in sales and marketing. And so I think you guys should do whatever is going to give you good sales experience, whatever you're going to be motivated to get done. Get more sales on the calendar. Like that's my biggest advice to you guys is like get your lead gen and then practice doing sales. And then when your lead gen starts working, you'll kind of have an idea of, oh, I've been doing sales a bunch of times, right? Some of my people have done workshops and webinars and stuff, and they're like, you know, I just want to start practicing doing sales. I'm going to do it while my audience is small. And they've been doing webinars and workshops and only having a couple people on at a time. But they're like, you know what? I'm okay with that because I know my strategy. I'm working on my lead gen. I know when that starts working and those people start coming in, I'm going to have a workshop that's really great that I practice a bunch of times. I'm going to know how to go live. I'm going to have practice pitching my product. And so they're building the skills while they're building the audience. They're like, I know I need these sales skills. I know I need to practice teaching. I know I need to practice sales. So I'm going to practice while my audience is small. I think this can be really great for you guys. I did the opposite of this when I had my mental health blog. I was very scared of being on camera. I told my first coach I would never be on camera, right? We can all laugh about that now. I was like, I will never be live on camera. I have anxiety. There's no fucking way. I would rather die. That sounds like the worst. Absolutely not. Where's Lucy? I think Lucy said that's a similar story to me as at one point, right? Which we can all laugh about now because her community now loves watching her on camera, right? And I was like, I'm never going to do it. I'm never going to do it live, right? And I kept putting it off and putting it off. So I was like, well, I don't want to start going on video and doing sales. I don't want to start doing challenges because there's not very many people in my Facebook group and it's not worth my time. And I don't want to waste my time, right? I don't want to go live and do video. Really, it was I was scared, right? But I was like, well, it doesn't even make sense to do because I don't even have any people there. Nobody's going to come. It's not worth my time. And by the time I went to launch something and do something, I had like 10,000 people on an email list and 1,000 people in my group. And I had to learn how to go on video and teach. Like I had to teach my first workshop in front of a bunch of people. And I was like, why didn't I do this months ago? So I could, like, I would have much rather had my first workshop is, I mean, your first few are always going to be kind of your worst ones, right? And I'm like, why didn't I do my worst ones when my audience was small? Like, why did I wait till my audience was big? It's because I had that story, right? We talked about that last night, that story of like, I don't want to waste my time. There's not enough people there. It's not worth my time. And so I didn't practice doing sales and marketing. I was just practicing lead gen. And then I had to learn sales and marketing in front of a bunch of people. You can decide to do that, but you just need to understand the decision you're making if you guys choose to do that, right? If you're like, I just want to practice one thing and it's overwhelming for me to think about trying to teach something, I just want to learn lead gen, that's fine. And then you can add in a workshop later. It's going to be different for all of you, right? And you have to be able to make a decision as a business owner, as the boss. Nobody's going to tell you what to do. Nobody knows more about your business and what you're supposed to do and what's going to work and what you should test more than you. It's your business. I'm like, nobody can know better about faithmariah.com than Faith Mariah, right? And it's the same for your business. It's like, even people that have more experience, it's like, I can advise you and tell you things that I think, but at the end of the day, you have to call the shots, right? And it's a very big reframe between looking for a boss, trying to do things the right way, trying to learn the right processes, trying to do everything perfect. Entrepreneurship is very different than that. It requires you to make a decision about, this is what I'm going to test, and like understand some of it's going to work and some of it's not, but I'm going to keep learning the skills that I need. We're going to talk about this tomorrow, but a lot of entrepreneurship is like a skill building game. It's like, can you build enough skills? You need a lot of different skills and you need to be good at a lot of different things. It takes a lot of practice, right? And so, like I'm saying, we fill this stuff in with stories. A lot of times people are like, oh, my niche is wrong. Nobody wants my product. Nobody wants my sales page. And a lot of times it's like they don't have the skills of being on camera. They don't have the skills of copywriting and email marketing. They don't have the skills of being on camera. They don't have the skills of pitching, right? You're always going to be working on building those skills. I'm still working on my skill set, right? I'm uh, literally like doing a whole program right now with somebody that's ahead of me that has a multi-million dollar business, right? And I'm still working on the same skills, like working on my copywriting, working on our sales strategies, working on our lead gen, like this stuff that's like work that's never done, right? Let me know if that helps, Calvin. And if you have specific questions about what you want to sell, we can hash it out. Actually, could you come on Monday? If you can come Monday at noon, I'm going to be on Zoom and I can help you make a really specific sales plan if you want. Like if you want to do a 5-day challenge, I can help you do the messaging and what you're going to do each day and all that stuff for free. I'm coaching for free, like free business coaching. It's like a mastermind open house. You guys are all invited Monday at noon. Inside the mastermind, our calls are not like what you guys have experienced in the challenge. It's not me teaching with slides. It's me like talking to you guys on Zoom and like problem solving your businesses, problem solving mindset, bouncing ideas around, brainstorming. I help people with messaging. I help people with launches. I help people with, I'm overwhelmed. What should I do? I'm scared. I don't know if I should do this or that. I had my plan and now I'm all over the place. I help people with like, I mean, we usually cover all kinds of different things on those calls and it's on Zoom. And I just think they're very, very valuable. And so I wanted to give you guys a chance to experience what that's like. So that's why I'm doing the Monday open house where you guys can come on Zoom. I will help you with your business. Okay. Mindset in sales, please. I loved how you said every business owner makes mistakes and wasted times and made a fool of themselves before they learned how. Sitting pretty doesn't get us anywhere. Yeah, you've got it. You've got it. Is it Iva? Iva. You've got it, right? That's the thing. And why that's important is because if we don't understand, right, that all business owners make mistakes, all business owners waste time, all business owners waste some time and some money, all business owners try things that don't work. If we don't understand that that's supposed to be like that, what does our brain do? It tells all these painful stories about it because what's our brain trying to do? Conserve energy, keep us comfortable, and keep us safe, right? So it's not going to naturally default to a story about, hey, let me help you believe in yourself and help you think your product's great so we can go do a bunch more work, right? It's going to tell you, oh, nobody's probably ever going to buy. Because what do you get out of doing if you start thinking it's probably never going to work? What do you get out of doing? Everything. You don't have to go on camera. You don't have to send the email. You don't have to go on social media. Like to you, your default, like primitive brain, that's a great useful story for it because it's not trying to grow a business. It's trying to conserve energy, keep you safe and comfortable. Right. So if we don't understand how this stuff works and we're not watching this stuff, right? We have a whole framework in the mindset section in the mastermind where you guys can really coach your thoughts. Like I have a whole exact process and framework that you'll get if you join the mastermind on Monday. But if you really start understanding how this stuff works, it's very useful because when your brain starts telling you like, oh, it's never going to work, you're going to be like, oh, there's a scary tale. Like there's my brain trying to conserve energy. It's still going to do that even though you're onto yourself. It's always going to do that. It's just part of having a human brain. But if you're aware of it, it's very useful, right? Because then you're like, oh, like I don't want to think that. That's not useful. Like I don't want to think like I'm wasting my time. Like that's not useful. Let me refocus over here. And you could start driving the bus, right? Instead of letting that primitive brain, the primitive brain is coming on this journey. It's coming with you, okay? It's like, but it's like we don't want to let it drive the bus. It's like it needs to be in like the back seat, right? And our forward thinking brain is like, oh, my primitive brain is thinking I'm wasting time. I don't want to waste time. Like that's not useful. Let me think this instead, right? And you just kind of redirect it and you go on, right? My brain still to this day, right, will have this story. We all have like our little default stories, and my default story has always been nobody likes you. Nobody likes you. Everybody thinks you're annoying. Nobody likes you, right? My brain still offers me that thought, but I'm onto myself. I know it's doing that because it thinks it can protect me, because it's scared of rejection, right? Because I've had painful experiences in the past of being rejected, and my brain made all these painful stories about it. And now it's like trying to protect me and keep me safe. And so when it says that, instead of me being like, oh my God, you're right. Everybody probably does hate me. I probably shouldn't go on camera today, right? Instead of doing that, I'm like, oh, there's that troll thought. Like, God, human brains are so funny. I'm like, that's so funny. It's still doing that. And then I just go about my time, right? So it's like the difference between when I was a wilderness counselor, we used to say, don't ride the roller coaster. And what that means is like pretty much we were doing 28-day wilderness camping trips with like at-risk kids, right? We were doing like therapy and going, it was really fun. We were just taking kids in the woods and doing these therapy like sessions with them and stuff, and team building and all this stuff. And we would say like, don't ride the roller coaster. And what we meant by that was like, you don't want to indulge in the kids like bullshit, because the kids can have a really hard time, right? They can be angry, they can be sad. It's a very like difficult experience for a lot of them. They've never been camping. We're in this wilderness. 28 days is a long time to camp, even for me as someone who has a lot of wilderness experience, right? It's not easy. So, instead of going on their thing where it's like, oh, we're upset and it's hard and it's stressful, it's like you let the kids ride their roller coaster, and I'm going to stay over here. I'm going to have a good trip. I'm having a good experience. I'm having a good trip as the leader. Even if the kids are struggling, even if the kids are like doing things that maybe would normally annoy me or make me upset or make me angry, even if all this chaos is going on, like the kids can do whatever the kids need to do on the trip, because sometimes they need to work that stuff out, but it's not impacting me emotionally. It's like I'm not going on that ride. And we would say that to each other as instructors when people would start to get flustered or people would start to get overwhelmed or people would start to get whatever. We would say, don't ride the roller coaster with them. You're on the roller coaster with them. Get off the roller coaster. Like, we're the leaders here. Like, we're having a good experience here. We're having a good trip, right? And we would hold that space and model what it looks like to have a good trip, even when the weather sucks and it's fucking raining and you've been out there eating the same thing for a week and all that stuff. It's like, I'm going to have a good trip and you can do what you want. And I think about that with like your primitive brain. It's like, our primitive brain can be there and chatter and tell me nobody likes me and all this stuff, right? But I'm still going to have a good trip. I'm still going to have a good time, right? It's not going to impact and change how I feel about myself, how I feel about my business and the actions I'm going to take. It's like, I'll let my brain like chatter and do its thing. And I'm just like, okay, like maybe nobody likes me. I don't know, but I've got work to do. Maybe nobody likes me. I'm still going to go on the Facebook and try and help somebody today. Maybe nobody likes me. I'm still going to send my email. It's like, okay, right? Just like on course with the kids. It's like, okay, like you guys want to have a angry day and fight all day? Like, okay, like you can do that. Like, I'm still going to have a good trip, right? So your brain's going to chatter at you. It's like, okay, I'm still going to do my work though. Like, all right, like, okay, like maybe it will never work. Maybe I'm going to fail. Maybe it's a waste of time. Like, okay, but I'm still going to go, back to work and do the things I want to do. Right. That makes sense, you guys. Do you think Zach's ad strategy can work as a first step to building a list from scratch? Yes, totally. I'm worried I might waste so much money running ads as a first step. Calvin, what are you selling? I really love Zach Spuckler. If you guys are looking for an ad person, I have worked with everybody. You guys can ask me too, because I'm like almost too honest, I feel like, in this industry. But if you ever like thinking about making an investment or buying something, I've worked with everybody and I'm always happy to like give you my thoughts and opinions about things. Zach Spuckler is a total gem. I love him. I have spent thousands and thousands of dollars working with agencies, working courses, doing all this stuff. I never was able to get ads to work until I worked with Zach, and his boot camp is like $20. And so his ad strategy definitely works. However, you have to have a plan to recoup that cost, right? So if I don't have anything to sell and I don't have a strategy to test to get sales experience, right? And I'm paying money to get people on an email list, but I don't have a system set up where I can make money off that email list, that's not going to result in profit, right? It depends if you have more time or more money, right? So if you're really on a budget and you're really trying to bootstrap things, that's why I tell people to use the organic platforms. Come do our bundle, Calvin. Like I'm doing that bundle in March. You can get email subscribers for free doing that and then test your sales systems on those people and then get the ads, right? If you're like, oh, like I really feel like I was able to get some of those people to buy. I feel like if we had more people in here, I'd be able to get it. Then you add that strategy in. Um, if you're someone that's like, I have a bunch of money, sometimes I'll have people that have very high level corporate jobs. They're like, I have a bunch of money, I have no time. For those people, I'm not going to tell them go do social media. It's going to be like, go do Zach's boot camp, start getting people on an email list. You can spend $20. You what happens with Zach's camp is like you're gonna and with ads in general, you're gonna spend a bunch of money testing them. But then you can turn the cost down if you want. So you can do $5 a day on ads, right? And build your email list. But you need to be selling something to recoup that cost to try to break even. Does that make sense? And if you don't have anything built and you've never done any sales, it can turn into like spending $5 a day that is not recouping any money. And that's not a good business model, obviously, right? But if you have experience with sales and you know how to sell stuff and you're like, no, people really love my product. They love buying it. I love talking about it. I'm great at selling it. I know if I could get more people to know about me, I know I could make money. Zach's boot camp is perfect for that because he is a genius at getting leads for very, very cheap, right? I'm still using his strategy. It's a little different, but the mastermind that I'm in, which is a high level mastermind, for like multiple 6-figure and 7-figure earners, right? I'm still in there using a strategy that's very, very similar to Zach's. And I think we were getting like 70 cents a lead, which is insane for B2B. B2C is usually cheaper. But it's all practice. It's all different for everybody. It depends a lot on niche and time of year. Yeah, Zach Spuckler. Thanks, Calvin. He has a podcast also. It's called the Anything But Average, and he just posts on it periodically. But Zach is his gem. He runs that boot camp like a few times a year. It's $20. Him and his team are amazing. They'll like review your copy. I mean, this is crazy that they do all this for $20. He takes you step by step and shows you the ad thing, shows you how to set it up, shows you how to do the different copy. You can put it in the group, like really block out time if you do that boot camp. And his team is like amazing. You can put stuff in the group and they'll like review your copy and give you feedback. And like, they've spent $1 million plus on ads. So like having somebody look at stuff like that and getting access to somebody like that is really, really special. And so, yeah, I love Zach. 25. Okay. Yeah. $25. I guess he's raised the price, but still it's like, a lot of people are charging thousands of dollars to do what they're doing in that boot camp for sure. I've spent $3,000 on a course that didn't even give you any feedback, right? You guys need anything else? That's mainly what I wanted to show you guys, was just that I wanted to make sure you guys saw the sales equation. 27 a month now, and his boot camp is about to kick off soon. Okay. Yeah, he has a membership you can join. So he does the boot camp and then he opens his membership. And yeah, I really love Zach. He's great, especially if you want to do ads. If you don't want to do ads, like my advice for most of you is go do social media, go do bundles, go to faithmariaevents.com. I'm like, come to our events, get some people on your list, get some practice. Once you feel like, okay, I have a really great offer, I feel confident at selling it. I practice this stuff. If I had more people coming onto my email list, I'd be making more money. That's a great time to go to Zach. That makes sense? Live January 13th through 17th. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. I kind of had a feeling a challenge would be for the more experience. I think it requires a lot of preparation. Well, Calvin, you can do it like an easy. So what I would say if you want to do a challenge and you're just starting is like do a half-ass version of what you want to eventually have. So just do it the easiest way for you, right? So my first challenge, probably I wouldn't do 5 days. I would probably do, if you're going to do a 5 day, I would do a training or a little thing Monday, Wednesday, Friday. People get behind and then they feel like they're not getting the value and they're not going to be in a buyer mindset, right? You need people to take action on what you're teaching, and spacing it out Monday, Wednesday, Friday gives people time to catch up. If you do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, like a 5 day of training, a lot of times people won't finish. And then when you go to pitch, they're like, well, I didn't even do the free stuff, so I'm not going to pay you. Right. Does that make sense? So I would space it out like that. I would make your training really short, make it really simple. I would probably just do it in a Facebook group. You can go live, you could pre-record the videos and email them out. Like, just think about, if you were to do a beginner 5 day challenge, if you were to make it as easy as possible on yourself, what would you do? And then what we teach in the mastermind is, like, you do your launch. So you would do your challenge, you would do your half-ass version of your challenge, your baby version of the challenge, your beginner version of the challenge. And then next time, maybe we're going to send more emails, right? And the next time, maybe we're going to have workbooks and have the Notion board. And maybe next time we're going to give giveaways. Each time you do it, you're going to run it again, right? You add more assets. So the way we teach it, and I have it in the Launch Align course, it's in faithmariahshop.com. It's also, if you're in the mastermind, you get all of my sales trainings and all that stuff in there. But the way we teach it is, like, you do your launch once, you do a beginner version of what you want your launch to eventually be, you just get it done. And then you're going to run it again and you're going to add more assets, right? So we're going to save the graphics, we're going to save the emails, we're going to save all that stuff in a database. We're going to run it again. And maybe this time we're going to add podcast episodes that we can reuse. Maybe this time we're going to add videos that we can reuse. Maybe this time you just make more and more launch assets for yourself, and you give yourself practice. But I would just do a simple version of what you're eventually wanting it to be if you're just starting. And then you can add to it over time. Does that make sense? You don't have a lead gen problem, Lucy. You have the opposite problem of, like, what most people have. How many leads are you getting a month, if you don't mind sharing, Lucy? I don't remember, like, if you're getting, I know that the Google traffic and the blog traffic has been down for a lot of people, so maybe you're not getting leads. Um, I think you need to practice doing sales a little more, but I think you're close. That makes sense? Because the ads work if I can pay 70 cents a person, right, and get 100 people, and then I can get 2 of those people to buy a $50 thing, then I'm growing my email list for free. And anything any of those people buy after that, if they buy from a flash sale, if they buy during a launch, that's like gravy money. You see what I'm saying? Right? If I can get 70 cents a lead, and I'm spending $10 a day, and I have a Tripwire offer that's $5, and I can get 2 people a day to buy it, then those ads are breaking even right on the front end. And if they go into my launch and buy, that's gravy. If they go into a flash sale and buy, that's gravy. That's money on top, right? But you have to be able to recoup that ad spend. So it's just up to you if you feel like confident enough. You can always test it too. Just don't test it with a ton of money. And this is why I love Zach too. And him and I are very aligned in this. You don't need hundreds or thousands of dollars to start with ads. Just start with a low budget and test different things. Once you get something where you're like, oh, people are buying this Tripwire. Oh, in my welcome funnel, you could sell your wreath offer. Lucy has like a holiday wreath DIY project. It's really cute. You could sell that in your welcome funnel on a flash sale when people come in. And it's like, if we can sell a couple of those, like, to pay for the ad spend, then you're good, right? And then you're growing your list for free and you're not having to spend time on social media. That's why people love ads. But the ads will only work if you have the messaging on the front end of the ads. If you don't know, like, really what your customers are thinking and how to talk to them and how to attract the right people, right? Then it's going to be really difficult on the front end, because your copy is going to bring in the wrong people, or your copy is not going to convert, and it's going to be really expensive. It can be, if you're not good at marketing and messaging, it can be very expensive to run ads. The more you understand how to talk to people, you're like, the people that have this problem, they love to buy this product, or they really are a perfect fit for this offer. And I know how to talk to them. I know how to attract the right people. I know what to say to them. You can test all that on Instagram, on LinkedIn, like test different messaging, try out different strategies and see. And then if you find like, man, when I talk about this, people really love it. People are very interested in that. People really resonate with that. That would be a great thing to take and run as an ad. And chances are your ad spend is going to be cheap because it's going to really resonate with people and really attract the right people in. And it's probably going to be easier for you to do sales because you're getting the potential customers in there, right? Here's an example I always use when we're doing bundles. Okay. Maybe there's two people that do a bundle with us. Okay. And one person gets 500 people on their list and they come in the Facebook group and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I got 500 people. This is incredible. Like, what an amazing experience, yada, yada, yada. Right. And then maybe somebody else sees that and they're like, man, like, you got 500 people. I only got like 20. I only got like 20 people. Right. And thinking about that, like, we would think like the person with 500 people, they're winning that. But you don't know that in business. Why? Well, let's say the person with 500 people, they attracted people with like a template that has maybe not that much to do with what they're selling. Like maybe they have a template about, I don't know, fridge organization or something, and everybody loves it and the graphics beautiful and all these people sign up, but they're selling how to cook nutritious meals. And so they have 500 people that are interested in fridge templates, but aren't necessarily cooking meals. So when they go to do sales, nobody buys their thing. Maybe they sell one of their product at like $50. Okay. So they make $50 off those 500 people. The person that made 50 people does this really intimate launch and does some one-on-one calls with people and ends up selling one $500 spot for coaching. Who got better results from the bundle? Right. So it's not about just attracting people, not attracting numbers. It's like who got the most customers, right, that are worth the most money, who got the most potential buyers. Just because someone only got 20 people, it doesn't mean that all 20 of those people aren't a perfect fit for them and are going to buy someday. And it's possible that that person got 20 people, but 10 of those people are going to be buyers, opposed to the person that got 500 people. Maybe only a few of those people are going to be buyers, or maybe none of them are going to be buyers. They attracted all the wrong people. And it's the same way with ads, whether you're bringing people in with ads or you're bringing people in from a bundle or you're bringing people in from social media, right? Sometimes people will go viral on social media and they'll get these followers and they'll get these huge accounts. But the things that are going viral are like not really to do with their business, and people aren't really interested in buying what they're selling. And so they could have an account with like 20,000 people and you look at that and you're like, oh my God, they're killing it. I only have like 500 people. But your 500 people love what you have to say, are super interested in what you're doing, want to come to your events, want to buy your stuff, want to tell their friends about you. Like, that's the better account. Want to comment on your post. They're like, they're into it, right? And the person with 20,000 people, they might have a really cute dog that does really well on Instagram, but they're not necessarily attracting people to buy their parenting course. And the same is true with ads, right? We got to make sure that you're attracting people that have the exact problem that you're going to sell for. And you've got to make sure that you know how to talk to those people. And that's why I like people starting on social media, because like I'm saying, marketing and sales takes practice. It just depends. You have more time or you have more money. If you have more time, you should practice doing sales with organic stuff, meaning go on Pinterest, go on YouTube, go on the bundles, do collaborations, get some people, practice sales for free. If you're like, I don't have any time, but I have money to invest, maybe you have a corporate job or you have a couple jobs or whatever, but you're like, I have no energy to do this, but I know it's something I want to do. I want to invest in it. Then you can skip the organic and put the money on the ads, but you're paying for the experience and the practice, right? You're still going to probably, like I'm saying, most people are not good at playing the violin when they first pick it up. Most people are not good at sales when they start doing it. It's going to take them some practice, right? So it just depends. Like, do you want to pay for the practice with time or do you want to pay for the practice with money? Most people that come in my community are, you guys tend to be a lot like me, and I'm a bootstrap girly, right? Like, I mean, I built this business from nothing. Okay. So I get it. And so most of the time, people have more time to invest than money, but not always, just depends. And it changes, right? There might be different seasons where you're like, I have no time, but I have some extra money. That's a good season to go into ads. What do I do if I don't know what to talk about? What are you selling? I would just pick 3 things. I would do this. Let's do this. Are you still doing branding? Let's do I would make a theme for each day of the week. So, what are I would make a list of your people's problems. Like, think about what you're selling first. Start with like your offer or what. And if you don't have an offer, think about what your offer is probably going to be or what you think it's going to be or who you want to work with eventually. Oh, you don't know what you're doing yet? If you don't know what you're doing yet, I would do the 100 posts in 30 days challenge. If you have no idea what you're doing, right? Watch the workshop from last night too, because I talk about this. And if you have do less, make more, definitely watch that because that will help you a lot. Um, but if you have no idea what you want to sell and no idea who you're talking to, do 100 posts in 30 days. And then eventually, what will happen if you keep posting at a high volume like that, you'll figure out, oh, I really like talking about this, or I don't. What happens a lot is like people will come to me and they'll have these business fantasies where they've like thought about having this business and thought about what it would be like. A lot of times, business fantasies are very different than business execution. Okay. And somebody will come to me and they're like, I want to be a finance person. I want to do personal finance. And I know people are making all this money. I think it's going to be a great niche. And I have all this experience. But they go on social media and they start talking about that. And they're like, I don't really have that much to say. I don't really like talking about that. I don't really want to do this day in, day out. Right. You've got to want to market this stuff and be somewhat interested or willing to just do it anyway. Right. So you have like two options. You can either do put a bunch of stuff out and figure what you like talking about and what resonates with people and what people are interested in. Start sharing your journey. I would take yourself on some kind of journey, if it's personal development or a branding journey or a weight loss journey or a whatever, and just share what you're doing. Just give people behind the scenes, share tips, just get used to talking. It's going to do a couple things. It's going to get you the skill of talking to camera. It's going to get you the skill of saying something, right? So we don't have this thought all the time if I don't know what to say. You'll be able to pick up your phone and say something. That's a very valuable skill to have, to just be able to pick your phone up and say something. And it's going to give you a better understanding of the platform, a better understanding of how social media works. It's going to give you some good experience posting. And then through that work, eventually you'll start to figure out what you want to do. The other way you can do it is just pick something and decide you're not going to change it. So you just pick something, you're like, I'm going to sell this and I'm just going to spend the next 3 years doing it the best I can and see where I get. Right. So you can also just pick, like, you could just pick to go into finance and decide, I'm just going to practice keeping my mindset lined up with this decision and practice doing the execution and practice, and just, you can just pick something and decide not to change it. Does that make sense? Eventually, I mean, I'm a little different, I think, than some people in the online space, because I'm not like pick up something you're necessarily passionate about or aligned with. You can sell a product like you could sell like kitty litter and make money, and that could be your business, and like you're not necessarily passionate about kitty litter, right? Like, I mean, people have like, I don't know, like all kinds of businesses that make money where it's not like their personal passion. Like marketing and business and sales, I it's gotten like diluted and weird, I feel like, in the social media space and in the coaching space, as far as like, find your passion and do what lights you up and that's how you become a marketer. And I'm like, this is terrible advice. Like, you really, to be a marketer, like, you need to understand sales and marketing, and how to talk to people and how to sell things, which is a skill set you build. It doesn't have really that much to do with your passion necessarily. Now, you can, like, I'm very passionate about marketing. I was talking about marketing and helping people with their business for free for years before I ever launched a program or sold anything or anything like that, right? I was running my own business and learning about this stuff on my own business. And then people would come ask me questions because they knew I was making money, and they're like, how are you doing it? And I love talking to them and I love talking about business, and I'm a nerd about this stuff, right? And so I have a business that I'm passionate about. There are a lot of days I don't want to do the shit I have to do to run this business, right? The reality of this business is it's a multiple six-figure business. We have $14,000 of expenses going out every month, right? There's months where I'm sick. There's months where I'm depressed. There's months where I'm sick of talking about marketing. Like, this is just the reality of it, right? But it is my job. And like, I am committed to my clients and to serving them at a very high level, no matter what. And I'm committed to my team and making sure they have a reliable source of income coming in that they can count on. And I'm accountable to myself and my partner that account on the money coming in for us. Right. And so the passion and stuff, like, that's nice, but it's not there all the time, even when you're in a business you really, really love, right? To have a business, you don't have to be passionate about it. What you have to have is a product that solves some kind of problem for people that people want to pay for, or a service that people want to buy, right? You have to have something that people want to buy and spend money on. And then you have to have the skills to be able to attract those people and market and sell it. None of that requires passion. None of that requires you to like be in love with what you're talking about every day. Like, I just don't think that that is good from a business standpoint. I don't think that's a good advice. If you want to have a social media as a hobby that you like love, like, fine, but you can love a business that's not necessarily a passion. Like, I could have a kitty litter business and love it because I love marketing and I love sales and I love developing products and I love learning new things, right? And I would learn, if we were doing kitty litter, I would get to learn about distribution centers and physical products, and I would get to learn new things about marketing in different ways, right? And I could still love running that business even though I'm not passionate about kitty litter. Does this make sense to you guys? So it's like business, like this whole thing about, and what will happen too is like a lot of people will make a business they're passionate about and think they have to love it. And then they realize there's a whole business side that has nothing to do with the DIY, or has nothing to do with coaching, or has nothing to do with whatever it is they want to do. There's all this other stuff they have to do. Right. And they're like, well, what the hell? Like, I was told like I was going to have this passion business. And it's like, yeah, you're going to have this. There's days where this job is like incredible and I love it. Like, don't get me wrong. And don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm like super fucking grateful and happy. And I really love like my life and what I do and my communities and all that stuff. But I think it is a lot different than what people think. Like, I think the reality of having a business like this versus what people tell you online, and what, all this shit about like, oh, I'm on the beach and I'm making $1 bajillion and like I'm all in flow and like all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know a lot of multiple six-figure entrepreneurs. I don't know people living those lives for real. I know people that market their stuff like that and say they're living those lives and don't. I used to work behind the scenes for a bunch of different bigger businesses and coaches. And I can tell you the front end of their marketing did not look like the actual what was happening behind the scenes. Okay. So just take everything with a grain of salt. That's what I'll say about that. So you can either post something until you figure out like people are interested in this. I can create a solution for this. I can have a product around this, right? You have to have something to sell. So you have to either decide what you're going to sell, or you have to create a bunch of content so you can decide what you're going to sell. But we have to have a product before to have a business. If we don't have anything to sell, like, we really don't have a business. There are some people that are influencers that don't have products, but what they sell is advertising, right? So they sell sponsorships. They sell basically access to their audience. So they still have a product. They're selling visibility and access to their community to companies. So they still have a product. They're still solving a problem for people, even though they're not necessarily selling something that's like a program or a digital product or a journal. They're selling access. The companies have the problem of like, we need more people to know about our product so we can make more sales. And they're like, well, I have a community. I can solve that problem for you. And they're able to charge money for it. So there's people that do that, but you need not a big audience, but you need a really engaged audience. I feel like I'm in the same place as I was last year, and I've done all these things already. Can you come on Monday? I want to coach you. I'm coaching Monday at noon. I'm going into the kitty litter biz, right? So like, my questions, if I were coaching you, I need to feel passionate to talk about something. Otherwise, I won't do it. I'm just telling you, there's going to be a lot of days, no matter what you pick, where you don't feel passionate about doing it. I love marketing. I'm passionate about marketing. I don't feel like talking about it every day. If you cannot get yourself to do things you don't want to do, like, entrepreneurship is going to be very difficult for you. So I would work on building the skill of being able to do things that you don't want to. It's just like, think about if you had an employee like that. Think about if you had an employee that you were paying cash to that only did things when they wanted to do them and they were passionate about it. Your business probably would have a very difficult time growing. Like, would you actually want to pay that person's salary? Would you actually want that person to continue working for you? If they're like, I'm only going to do it when I'm passionate. You have to find some other thought that can make you do it and take action. That's not just excitement, right? So I create a lot of stuff out of the energy of commitment because I struggle with real mental health issues. Like I have PTSD, I have clinical depression. I've talked about this on the internet for forever. Like you can go back years and years, right? I've talked about all this very publicly. There are times during the year, right, where I don't even want to get dressed. Do you think I want to come up here and put makeup on and talk to people for hours and do all this stuff? But I'm committed, right? So I don't rely on excitement. I don't rely on being in the mood. I don't rely on feeling like it. I rely on commitment that I do the things that I say I'm going to do, that I show up for my clients no matter what. It's a non-negotiable for me. And you've got to find a way, like something, right? You have to find something that can get you to do things that's not excitement, because excitement comes and goes. Feeling good comes and goes. We're in human bodies, right? And if you have a business, think about this. If you have a business that's actually a sustainable business that lasts for years, right? That goes on for years and years and years, you're going to have death in the family. You're going to have grief. You're going to have illness. You're going to have like the challenges and real issues that all of us go through as human beings. We all have our own challenges in life and our own suffering that we experience in life. Everybody has it. And if I'm relying on feeling good and feeling motivated and feeling like really excited, I'm relying on excitement and somebody dies, then what? Right? It's like that's not a sustainable way to run a business. It's fun, like you can do it for fun, but if you're really wanting something that is sustainable income, that's real money, that actually generates you money, you can't rely on I only do when I'm excited or I'm not going to do it. Like that's just it just won't work, right? And I'm not saying that to be a jerk. I want you to win, right? And I think there's ways like you can make this work, right? I think there's ways where like something I tell myself is like I don't have to feel like it to do it. I don't have to I don't have to feel well to help people get results. I don't have to feel good in my body to help my clients. I don't have to feel excited to show up. I don't need any of that because I'm committed, right? And so what gets me to show up is this like deep commitment to a mission, to helping people get these tools to help them learn to make money for themselves so they don't have to rely on jobs or so they can generate a side income if they need, right? A commitment to my community and the people that have paid money to work with me and my team, to showing up for them no matter fucking what. Um, I've coached with freaking COVID and fevers and all kinds of stuff. And I'm not advising you guys do that. But my level of commitment, like, is that. Like, there's lots of times I don't want to do it. And I just think like entrepreneurship, it's difficult, right? And you've got to really ask, like, you have to be able, this is the challenging thing about entrepreneurship for everybody, not just you. Why it's so hard is like, you have to be able to create motivation and action yourself because there's not really any consequences for a lot of you for not doing it. There's not really any like when you're at a job and you just don't do your job and you only do your job when you feel like it, there's like pretty immediate consequences usually to that for most of us, right? And in entrepreneurship, there might not be because you're not making money anyway. So if you do it, you're not making money. And if you don't do it, you're not making money. And so you're like, well, it doesn't matter, right? You have to be able to create motivation, create action, right? Even if you're talking about kitty litter, even if you're talking about whatever, because even if you're doing something you're passionate about, there's going to be seasons of life where I guarantee you don't feel like doing the things your business requires. Like that's just the way. That makes sense. Yeah, come to coaching. I'll coach you and I won't yell at you. You got it. You know this. You've run a business before. Think about all of the shit you did when you had a business before, and you might have loved it, right? But there was like lots of stuff. You used to have a brick and mortar business, right? There was lots of stuff I'm sure you did for a brick and mortar business. You're like, I don't love doing this, but like somebody has to clean the shop, or somebody has to move the stuff in, or somebody has to go like unload the truck, and like I don't know. I've never had a physical business, but I imagine there's a lot of stuff that's a pain in the ass. I find that no matter how much I know about my topic and no matter how passionate I might be, when I have to perform in front of an audience as opposed to meeting and sharing the same info with a friend or client, my brain blows up and I can't remember any of it. And so far, I haven't found a way to convince my brain that I'm right. And it's not helping me. Any ideas? Yeah. Francie, I would love to chat with you too. I'm doing a Monday open house at noon. If you can come, I'd love to coach you and we can talk through all of it. But what I'll say is like, I think what has made the difference for me I used to feel like this about coaching. So sometimes in the mastermind, I will be on Zoom for hours, sometimes over, like, not all the time, but sometimes every once in a while, it's like people need help. And the calls are supposed to be an hour long, right? But I just almost always, if I have the energy, I'm going to stay on. Like, and so sometimes those calls go for a very long time. And what has made, they used to be very exhausting for me, where it was like I felt very drained after them. And the reason why was because I felt like I had to show up and perform, like you're saying, as like this super smart experienced business lady, right? And it was like I was like putting on this like persona. And what has made the difference and made the mastermind sustainable, and why I can do as many calls as we do and show up week after week, year after year, and keep it all going, um, is because I kind of just dropped that. And I was like, I'm just going to show up and be me. I believe in, I also believe in my clients a lot. So I don't think I have to necessarily say the most clever things in the world, right? I just have to help you guys get your brain spinning, because I know the answers for your business and your life are in your brain, right? It's not from me saying something clever, right? It's like us having a dialogue as a community. And I can share things that I've learned that will help you hopefully come up with your own ideas, or a different way of seeing something different in your own life or in your own business. I think it's, the difference is going to be, can you drop the performance that you're feeling like when you're on camera and just talk to them like they're your friends, right? Like, I just talk to you guys like you're my friends. Like, I don't feel like I have to come on here. If I felt like I had to come on here and be like, I don't know, like some super fancy business corporate lady, and we were like being super professional, and I couldn't swear and I couldn't talk how I want, and I couldn't go on ADHD tangents, and everything needed to be perfectly presented, and it all had to be on the rails all the time, and I couldn't yell and say what I really think. Like, that would be really hard for me. And that's really why I don't do well in a 9 to 5 job, right? So, how can we start thinking about, I would start noticing, Francie, like, what do you think? Like, when you're having a conversation or you're helping your clients, like, what are your thoughts then about how you have to show up? And can we borrow them for social media? Right. So, something that helps me is, when I was a social worker, this is kind of an extreme example, but everybody, like, bear with me. When I was a social worker, I had a job for a while where I worked at a domestic violence crisis center, and we offered like rape crisis services. And so if somebody was assaulted or raped and was at the hospital, one of us would go and just make sure that the police were doing the things they needed to do, that they weren't sitting in the hospital forever, that the nurses were, that all of their options were explained to them properly, and that everybody treated them the way they needed to be treated. And we would be there to advocate for them, right? Because we knew the laws and we knew what needed, information they needed, and we knew how things were supposed to go. And probably somebody in that situation has no idea. And so I remember going, and I would just feel like I don't know what to say to people. Like, sometimes we're there, for 5 hours with somebody in the ER in the middle of the night, and they're having like the worst moment of their life. And I'm sitting there with them, and I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to say to this person? Like, I just, I just felt like I can't help them. Like, I felt like I need to say, in my mind, I was thinking, I need to say something um, equally as important as the experience that they're having. Like, I need to offer solutions. I need to help them. Right. And what I realized was, oh God, I'm going to cry. I've been crying so much on camera lately. What I realized was, like, as long as I show up with the intention to help, as long as I show up and I'm there, that's it. That's all I have to do. That's all that person needs. And that's enough. And I use that a lot in my business, where it's like, if I don't feel well, or I don't have a lot of energy, or shit's going sideways in my personal life or whatever, it's like, I can show up for the mastermind calls. I can show up in this group. I can show up with the intention to help. And that's enough. And it doesn't matter if the slideshow's all fucked up like it was last night. It was literally like, I was looking at my slides. That wasn't even the presentation I was planning on giving. Like that. Right? I can show up and have tech problems. I could show up and like forget what I'm talking about, right? I've been on a medication lately where I have no short-term memory. So like I'll be talking about something and when I tell you my mind is blank, it is blank. Like I have no idea what I was saying, right? And I'm on camera sometimes in front of a bunch of people. And I'm just like as long as I show up to help, that's enough. As long as I show up with the intention to help, that's all I have to do, right? If I keep showing up with the intention to help, what has been true for me is I've always been able to find the skills that I needed, the support that I needed, as long as I held that intention. Right. And so I think what's happening, Francie, is like when you're coaching people or talking to your friends, you feel like as long as I'm here, like I can be useful and I can be helpful. And as long as I show up, like I'm here and that's like good enough. But there's this different story about social media or being on camera where it's like I have to teach at a very high level and I have to know what I'm doing and I really need to um make sure that I get them to think these certain things versus like as long as I go on camera and try to help them, as long as I share what I know, it probably will be useful to them, right? It'll be useful, maybe it'll be useful to somebody. Does that make sense? And so what I would say is like can you align like the thoughts that you think when you're coaching people and talking to your friends, can we borrow some of those about being on camera? Does this make sense? Yeah. What did I tell my brain to get to that level of commitment? That's a really good question. I think you have to figure it out for yourself, but for me, I really am just like I have to have a lot of non-negotiables with myself, and I know this is not, like, sexy, and that this is not, like, what a lot of people, I feel like, talk about on the internet or whatever, but this is what it's like for me running a business. All I can share is, like, what's been true for me, and, like, my thoughts a lot of times are like, I'm gonna get it done no matter what, and, like, I do things that have to get done, and I'm someone that shows up no matter what, right? And I tell myself those things, and when my brain's like, "I don't wanna go in the office. I don't wanna go on the call. I don't wanna record the training. I don't wanna make the module." It's just like, sometimes I'll move deadlines and stuff, and it's not like I show up 100%, 100% of the time. I don't think anybody does, but I do show up, like, for the things that are really important, and I do show up for the things that really matter, and I bet you do too. So a good question is, like, in the areas of your life where you do show up, like, maybe what are your non-negotiables, and what are your thoughts when you show up that you can borrow? Mine are, like, I show up for my community no matter what. That's non-negotiable to me. But it's just not something that matters how I feel, especially because a lot of you guys have invested money to work with me, and that's something I take very seriously. It's commitment and passion together. Otherwise, what is the point? Yeah, totally. I think you can, but I think you can also have passion outside of work. I don't think passion and work have to go together, like, necessarily. They can, but they don't for everybody, right? And you can find passion, I think, in a lot of different ways too. Like, I think like, I heard this story from somebody where she was like, her friend loved baking pies, and she made these incredible pies, and people were always like, "Oh, you should sell them." And she ended up starting a bakery. That was like it was like her passion. But running a bakery fucking sucks. She had to get up at like 2 in the morning, go like be at the shop, deal with customers, do all this like just because she likes making pie, like doesn't mean that she wants to do all the other stuff in a business, right? And she ended up like it ended up going under, which is really sad. But I think it can be both for some people. It can be one, some people are like very passionate and I think that like gets them through the business. Some people are very committed, like, and they're just like, I'm gonna go to they show up to it like a job, right? And that's how they get through. It just depends for everybody. But what I'll tell you is like you're not gonna feel passionate every day. Like passion comes and goes, excitement comes and goes. Um, I always think like things are 50-50, right? We're gonna feel good and passionate and excited half of the time and you're going to have a different experience, a different human experience the other 50, which could be grief, depression, sadness, anxiety, some type of heaviness. And I think for all of us we experience both things. And I think if you rely on passion to like take action, that is a difficult thing to sustain, at least for me. Like not everything that's true for me is true for you guys, so keep that in mind. I'm batching 3 months of content for maternity leave, and yeah, I'm struggling with this right now. Hard to do that level of output with no immediate reward. Totally, it's really hard. I would break it up into smaller chunks maybe. I wonder if you ever get sick of listening to our entrepreneur problems. Not really. Not really. I like talking about this. I am like a nerd. You have to remember I'm like a super nerd. I also am someone who has always just wanted to be useful and always wanted to be helpful and like I have a lot of spirit of service and I get a lot of that out of my job. So I promise I won't yell at you. Yeah, come to my coaching call. I'm not gonna yell at you guys. I love when she yells at me. It's always helpful. Okay, good. It's hard when I'm yelling at you guys and we're on Q&A and I'm not on Zoom because I can't tell how you're receiving it, right? So I'm always like, am I yelling at her and this is helpful to her? Am I yelling at her and she feels um, upset? But I'm glad it was helpful. Really struggling with what to say to people today. So I needed this. I've had a bunch of calls and I'm so out of it and depressed. I'm sorry you're having that experience, Megan. That's really hard. Please take care of yourself. I feel like I can't say anything helpful. I think sometimes too, like what I will go to, and this isn't always appropriate, but what has been useful to me is like when I'm having a hard time, sometimes just saying that, like I'm running my business and I'm having a hard time, and this is what it looks like, and like not feeling like I have to pretend that I'm in a different place that I'm not. Sometimes there's certain things going on in my life where I'm having a hard time and I don't want to share it with the mastermind and I want to deal with things privately. I've been through a lot of things that you guys have no idea about, right? But sometimes when I'm depressed or I'm just not feeling good, like sometimes just telling the community that, like just being like, you know what? Like if you're having a hard time, like it's a very universal human experience is what I've found. And so if you're willing and in a place and that feels good to you, sometimes for me I'll just be like, I'm having a really bad day. This is what it feels like right now. And if you're having a bad day, you're not alone. That might be something useful, right? Sometimes just like saying like, hey, like um I want to perform at a high level today and I'm not able to and it's really disappointing and I just wanted to share with you in case you feel like that too because I just think it's a very universal human experience and I think our culture doesn't normalize especially mental health stuff enough. People feel very alone. People feel very you know something you guys can say if you have like no idea what to say is just like you're not alone if you're having struggles like and some people don't have anybody in their life to say that to like they a lot of people do not have community right now like I feel like in our in my like little land I feel like we're all really lucky because we have each other and we have this community to even if it's virtual we at least have some people around us that get it but there's a lot of people that are very isolated right now that don't have support that feel like they're the only ones our brains do this right I mean how many times has your brain done this with your business where you're like I feel like my business is never going to work and I'm the only one or I just feel like nobody's ever going to buy this stuff and I'm the only one right and that's why I always say on the mastermind like I'm always very appreciative and grateful when people bring their questions and their stuff to coaching because I know if there's one person in my community feeling like that, there's probably 10 other people feeling like that too that will listen to the replay or see that call and need to know that they're not alone. And I feel like in that way we're able to normalize what entrepreneurship is really like. And so that way when you guys have a launch that doesn't work or you have something upsetting happen, your website gets deleted or tech fails you or I mean these when you're in our community you understand that that's normal because you've seen so many people share experiences about it and it has real ups and downs. It has real wins and real great things about it and it has real struggles and real hardship and real disappointment too. And that's what I love about it, right? That's what I think um, I really love about entrepreneurship. Like, yes, I love the marketing. Yes, I love the strategy stuff. I am a nerd in that way. But my passion is always about personal growth and living a life that is meaningful, right? I'm always like, I don't want to get to the end and wonder, like, what if? Like, what if I had really tried? Like, what if I had really put myself out there? I want to, like, really, really do it, right? And it's not always comfortable or easy to live life that way, right? But like I'm saying, I think it's very universal. I'd love to write an email that says something like that. Hey, I'm depressed and maybe I'm actually crazy. And maybe I still have value, but I'm so tired. I don't know that I can. I'll try. You can also just take a break. What I know about you, Megan, is like And I'm like this to some extent too, is like my energy really fluctuates. And so maybe just take a break. Like maybe you don't have to say anything, you know? I'm grateful every day for the community and the mastermind. It keeps me out of my head and reminds me that there are people that want to see me win. I'm so glad you feel like that, Andrea. That's that was always my vision for it, I think, when I started it. And that makes me really happy. I was very alone a lot on my entrepreneur journey. Like I have no people, nobody in my real life like ever told me my business was a good idea or I should go for it or I should quit my job or like nobody really supported me in any kind of meaningful way. And not because they, don't want me to have a good life or don't want me to win or something, but just because they don't understand entrepreneurship, right? Like I come from a low income, blue collar background. I don't know anybody in my real life that even has a business. I didn't know anybody, like not one person that was like an entrepreneur and had a business. And so I spent a lot of years like building my business, feeling isolated, feeling alone, feeling crazy, dealing with all the things I think we all deal with when we're starting a business. That learning curve in the beginning is so cheap or so steep. And I just felt so isolated, right? And when I was thinking about how I could help people with their businesses and like what would be the best way for me to contribute, that was the problem like I really wanted to solve was like to normalize what this experience is really like and to have a community that is honest, right? And where we don't feel so alone and isolated in this stuff. And to me, it's been very helpful to me too. So I'm glad it's useful to you. All right. That's the rant. I hope that this was helpful to somebody. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm doing tomorrow. Come to the workshop tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm doing a whole thing about taking action. So I had to give you guys a strategy last night. One of the big problems I see is people buy all these courses and do all this stuff, but they don't have like an overall strategy of like, I'm going to get leads this way, I'm going to nurture them this way, and I'm going to use these things to sell. So I wanted to make sure you guys have that because I think a lot of people teach really great little strategies, but they don't necessarily teach you how it goes together in like the big picture of things. I wanted to make sure you guys had that. And tomorrow, like I was saying, it doesn't do any good if we have a strategy and then we don't do any action, right? Showing up and taking action day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year is not a fucking easy thing to do, right? And so if you guys are struggling with that, just know everybody struggles with that. I promise it is difficult. You're trying to do a hard thing that most people, frankly, can't do. Most people quit before they get the results because they can't keep taking the action. It's not easy, right? And so tomorrow we're going to talk about action taking. We're going to break down your strategy into like what do you actually need to do every month, every week, every day, and what do we need to think to actually execute it and get it done. So I hope you guys can come tomorrow. I put the replay from last night up on the podcast if you want to listen on the go. They will be up till Sunday night, so you can still do homework. The Plan Like a Boss bot too is gonna live in the mastermind, but he's for free for all of you guys to use until Sunday. And I wanted to give it to you yesterday so you can use it for your 90-day planning. If you need help brainstorming or you need help just bouncing ideas around, or you just want to, I think it's just fun to mess with stuff like that. You can use that. You can do the homework and get the free stuff still from the first night until Sunday. All of the replays, the homework, the bot, everything, the workbooks, everything is available to you till Sunday night. And then Monday at noon Eastern, I'm doing the mastermind open house. I wanted to show you guys what our calls are more like. They're not really like the calls that are in here. There's a lot of business training in there from me, but our live calls are coaching calls. So they're on Zoom and you can come talk to me and we can brainstorm about your business. We can problem solve. We can talk things out and I can coach you at a much deeper level when I can talk to you and get more information about what's going on. And I wanted to give you guys a chance to see what that's like in case you're thinking about joining the mastermind. So Monday at noon Eastern, it's free business coaching. You're all invited. I would love to see you. I do love coaching people. I know I was like saying like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to show up. I really do love coaching people and talking to people. And I would love to see you and help you on Monday. So I hope you guys can come. And I gotta go because oh, gosh, yeah, I definitely have to go. I have to eat something really quick before I get on the next call. But I'll see you guys soon.